Hey, true believers. Chris Mack coming at you with the final installment of Marvel Comics Presents number 84, going over the Weapon X arc. And this one is my personal favorite. Not, it makes me sad that the series has ended, but man, is it just the intensity and the way that they end it is just so good. So this is chapter 12, and this was the print date on it is September 1991. And so this says, Chapter 12. Logan has destroyed most of of Project X, including the Professor. Or has he? Story and art, Barry Windsor-Smith. Letterer, Jim Novak and Barry Windsor-Smith. And so in the last issue, we think that Logan got the Professor, and we see him here broken, bloodied. And I just like the way that the paneling just continues to, catch up on him. And then just this reoccurring theme of his glasses. We've seen that since the first installment of this book, I believe, when they introduced the Professor. So we don't really know what to believe at this point. We're thinking that he got tossed in the Inferno, or the Adamantium, what is that thing called? The Adamantium doohickey. And that the bad guy has been defeated. But then we start seeing all these computers booting up, and we start to hear, Hines and Cornelius and the Professor talking, kind of echoing back when Hines was begging for her life. And at first you're just kind of like, what's going on? You feel as disoriented as Logan looks. Because, you see this, think of the horror of it all. You can't think. Yes, that is all too true. Must have been some party. He lost a lot of blood. Yeah, I'd like to see the other guy. So we're just kind of like, wait a minute, what? Wait, what? Because you start thinking he's kind of, a little schizophrenic. But what you come to find out that this is all playback of everything that we've gone over. Logan seeing the severed hand. He's walking through, and he even says that this place, he goes, place is a maze. Or a tomb, and it ain't military. Too sharp. These computers are Buck Rogers. So you see how I like how they say when it's a tomb, you get that emptiness. And then he opens up and sees Cornelius. Again, those blues to just kind of show the emptiness of the death. And then all of a sudden, Logan it seems like he starts to go on this trip because he starts to see his claws here. And I love the way Windsor-Smith shows the eyes. And these things popping out like if it was like not a James Cameron, Ridley Scott alien or something. And we go back to the whole, you're an animal. I am Logan. I am a man. And then all of a sudden it's like we're on this psychedelic trip because you see the animal. You are the animal, tortured, and he's running, terrified for his life. And Windsor-Smith just really starts to show all this terror. And, we start seeing these knives coming out of the ground. So we start to realize we're in his mind. And, he's saying, it's grabbing at me, scratching at my veins like ropes, pulling me back, tendons like wires, like a puppet, fingers pulling through my ribs. Muscles stretching bones behind my back. I'm running. It's tearing at me, dragging me back into the darkness, like black blood, and I can't get away. Stench of death in my mouth, lungs heaving, fingers clawing, legs pumping, and I can't get away. And it's free, and it wants revenge. So I believe this is Smith's way of kind of talking about Logan's animal side that he tries to keep down. And then all of a sudden we're kind of greeted with the outside of the Weapon X facility, and we see I think this is supposed to be a Jaguar. And then, so spoiler alerts, if you guys don't want to be spoiled, make sure to pick this book up and read it first. So, because there's no real way to kind of push the narrative forward without kind of revealing some things. So you start to see, pink for Hines, yellow for Cornelius, and green for the Professor. And we're kind of like, wait a minute, I thought everybody was dead. Well, you come to find out that a lot of what happened in the last issue was in Logan's mind. And you're thinking, oh, come on, what a cop-out. You know, you want that catharsis that the hero saved the day. And, you know, we continue on with the professor's brutality because they're talking about everything that happened. And he just, right there off the cuff says, and yet he failed to kill Hines. An act of mercy that leaves doubt still in my mind. And just look at her, she's hurt. That, you know, the professor's not happy that she was alive. So you start to see that Cornelius and Hines kind of have to start playing off each other to soothe the professor's ego, saying he only kills when threatened with death or out of hunger. Yeah, hunger. So they want to bring Logan back in. They want to get the Wranglers out there because after this fight in this Jaguar, and everyone's like, wait a minute, Logan's off camera. Wranglers? Where's Mr. Logan? So this time, now you're wondering, oh boy, is Windsor-Smith going to throw us for a loop again? And again, you just get those nice reds, blues, purples, emptiness, destitute, isolation. It really, really helps. And then when Logan escapes into the wilderness here, the artwork, I just love these blues and whites. And as you can see, the snow starting to fill up on Logan. You know, you start to see these words between Cornelius and Hines. And she's like, was Logan forced to do this? And he goes, I'm not proud to admit it, but yes. And she said, like, all I see him is suffering. And the professor seems to enjoy it. And Cornelius, you want to think he's a good guy, but then he just starts to say, well, if you listen to the professor, he says that he's a mutant. He's not human. And then Hines says, he is human, sir. You can't tell me that you don't see it in his eyes. You can see he's a man who's being turned into a monster. Now, the reason I brought up the snow here is see how it starts to start slowly falling on him. And then Hines says you can see he's being turned into a monster. Look at the way he presents the snow and the paneling. That is absolutely great symbolism right there. Because he started to look less like a man and more like, an abominable snowman. So yeah, guys, I don't want to spoil any more than this. I want you all to read it in its entirety. But yeah, Marvel Comics presents Weapon X number 84. And then what's really cool about this book, guys, is you get the main cover, and then it's one of those wraparounds. So you get both sides of Logan just kind of thinking and just fighting with what's becoming of him. You know, you get one claw slowly starting to come out, one fully retract. Beautiful artwork. So yeah, this particular issue just really sums it up and just gives you that feeling, and again, just runs you through a psychological roller coaster. And then Windsor-Smith just doing his best, how he just paced this whole arc. Just amazing, great stuff. So I hope you guys have enjoyed these reviews of these Weapon X books. We'd love to hear your feedback down in the comments below or on our social media pages, which I'll make sure to leave the links down in the description below. Now, if you have enjoyed this series, please first and foremost support your local comic shop and see if you can still find these issues in singles or the collected trade, which I know is getting harder to find nowadays. And if you have enjoyed this review, we really would appreciate it if you take a moment to hit like, share, and subscribe. Helps the club channel more than you can possibly know. And with all that said, I hope you all continue to have an absolutely amazing day reading, and happy hunting, true believers.